And good afternoon, everybody. Can you guys see me? Let me know if you can see me. Doing something a little different this time. This time I'm doing a vertical stream because I'm trying to see if I can get this to stream onto TikTok. I had problems doing that, but we're going to see if, how this works out. Quite honestly, I don't plan on doing many vertical streams on my podcast only because it's kind of difficult to share information, but let's try it out for today. So what I'm going to be talking about right here, it's going to be a quick little video. There are many parts to the LAPD complaint process. I want to walk you through one part that's completely broken, right? So when you file a complaint through the LAPD, it usually starts at a supervisor at the front desk who then sends it to Professional Standards Bureau, who then sends it back to the division to be investigated by a complaint supervisor, who then adjudicates it with the captain, who then sends it back to Professional Standards Bureau for a final review, and then from there to the chief to sign off on the complaint. I want to focus today on one part of that, and that part is the actual investigation at the division level. Okay. 1 second here. All right. So, like I said, after you file the complaint, it goes through a couple of different layers of levels of review, but then it comes back to the division. In my case, usually I'm talking about Hollywood Station Division. And once it gets there, it's investigated most of the time by Sergeant Chow. So what I want to do is I want to show you just one example of a case that I handled back in 2020, where I sent the evidence to the LAPD, to Chow, to investigate. And I want you to see what happens in the process and essentially how full of shit these people are. Right. So let me share this with you. This was a situation. This was on Cahuenga Boulevard in Hollywood. They had some guys pulled over, stopped. I don't remember the exact reason. I think it may have been a probation violation, but there's some other stuff that went on. And afterwards, I did a simple thing. I asked the officers for their business cards, which they have to supply when requested. So listen to this video. Tell me what you guys hear, and then we're going to go and I'm going to show you how Chow investigated this. Hey, let me get your cards. Let me get your cards. Let me get your card. Everything all right, guys? Yeah.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just trying to do a job.
I'm not saying you did anything wrong.
Oh, no, I'm not saying you did. Just trying to make conversation with you. That's it.
Essentially, what happened is your captain makes it impossible for me to. I just need your guys' cards for you leave.
For what?
Because I want your cards.
I'm not going to give it to you.
You heard what he said right there? I asked him for your card. I asked him for his card, and he says, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you. Now, here's a funny story is about an hour before this, or maybe 2 hours before this, I was actually by the Hollywood station talking to an officer who's at the scene right there. His name is Officer Dalen. And I was telling him there's nothing that pisses me off more than when officers refuse to identify themselves when I request their name, serial number, or business card. I was just talking to him about that. And he was at the scene and he was witnessing it. Now, you heard what he said there. Listen to it again. I walked up. Let me get your cards. Let me get your card. I told him that. Everything all right, guys? Before I went and approached the guys who were being pulled over to find out what happened. But on my way there, I told the cops, I want your cards. I want your cards. I want your cards. Go back to the police car and write up your card for me. But again, listen closely to what he says here.
Yeah. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just trying to do a job.
I'm not saying you did anything wrong.
Oh, no, I'm not saying you did. Just trying to make conversation with you. That's it.
Essentially, what happened is your captain makes it impossible for me to. I just need your guys' cards for you leave.
For what?
Because I want your cards.
I'm not going to give it to you. You want a bomb.
I'm allowed to. If I ask for your card, I get it. Let me get your card, man. Let me get your card. See what I mean? This is what I mean. Dylan, this is what I mean.
The cards are for like.
No, I've been through this with your captain.
Like sometimes people don't have cards on them.
Okay, but he didn't even identify himself. He took off without doing anything.
Okay, just ask.
He told me I'm not involved.
Ask for the names.
I just did. I just did.
You didn't ask that.
I asked for his card, and he said you're not involved. Come on, man. No, it's not right. He's gonna get a complaint because of that. So, I had the conversation with him. He tried making excuses for the cop that somehow it wasn't the cop's fault that he didn't give me his card. But whatever. Obviously, that's a load of shit. So then I filed a complaint against him for refusing to give his card. And how I filed the complaint, I actually filed the complaint via Twitter. See, that's one thing. You're allowed to file a complaint through a social media message. Twitter is social media. So I sent them a social media message to the Inspector General and included the video of the incident. And a few months later, or actually not a few months later, probably 10 months later, I got a final disposition letter back saying, yeah, well, we looked at this case and the officer is found not guilty, right? He didn't refuse to identify. That's what they claimed. They claim he did not actually refuse to identify, which is a load of shit. You saw what happened right there. So what happened then is I had to contact the complaint supervisor, and I wanted to find out from him, why did they not sustain the complaint? So again, I reached out to Chow. Let me pull this up right here. I reached out to Chow, and I asked him for an explanation. Let me play some of this video. This is my recording of my phone conversation with them.
Okay. What was your question about it?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what were the circumstances. Why was it classified as non-disciplinary, no misconduct?
Apparently the body-worn video showed that, I don't know if you remember the incident, but this was Officer Esparza on a traffic stop on Cahuenga.
Yeah, it was probably 3 suspects, maybe 4 in handcuffs. I think it was parole. They were on parole. They were probably in a Suburban or something. And I believe I had some small talk with him, and then I asked him for his business card, and he told me I wasn't involved and took off. I think it was Esparza and probably, I don't know if it was Gonzalez or Rodriguez.
I don't think it was that circumstance
Oh, wow.
describing.
It was. Real quickly, guys, if I understand this format is probably difficult. I was just trying this out to see how if this could function on a vertical for TikTok. I will probably never do a vertical because it's just not conducive toward sharing this information in an efficient way. To me, it's just sort of cluttered, but I want to see if it worked. Not to mention, this is, like I said, it's a quick little video I'm doing now. I'm going to do a longer one tonight around 9 o'clock. We're going to do a longer one. We're going to look at a couple of fucked up cops, but I just wanted to show you this, and possibly we could do a little secret mission while I'm on the live. You'll see.
Yeah, I don't think it's that one. But the reason why I'm classified that way is because the body review the body video revealed the only contact that you had with him at that time, you said card, and that was all that you said.
So that wasn't translated there properly. But the only thing that the body worn video captured of my conversation with this cop was me saying card to him. They didn't capture all the other conversation I had where I'm asking him for his business card, give me your card. Why? Because I asked you for it. That wasn't captured on a video, on the body worn video. That's because the cop cut off his body cam, and the only thing it heard me say was card. And so therefore, since the body worn video, his body camera didn't capture me asking for a card over and over again, it didn't happen. According to them, essentially it didn't happen because it's all about what was shown on their body worn video, even though I supplied them with the video of the entire encounter, gave them the whole video. And they just absolutely disregarded that video, just disregarded it, looked at the body cam. And because this cop cut off his body cam early, he gets rewarded. He gets rewarded. Now, I mean, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is how broken this process is when you can provide video evidence to the police and they still disregard it. And then from there, reward a person for, he's not supposed to cut off his body worn video until the interaction with the public is completed. He is rewarded for cutting off his body cam early. And because of that, the complaint was not sustained. It should have been sustained. Now, granted, this guy, he's not even with the LAPD anymore. He went to another police department. He probably was like, I'm so sick of dealing with William and his bullshit. Let me get the fuck out of here. Let me go someplace peaceful. But that's besides the point. It shows you how broken it is. And it shows you that Chow, my guy Chow right here, he's the one who investigated this. And he just looked at the body worn video. And I go into it a little further because I ask him, why the fuck didn't you reach out to me? Why didn't you reach out to me and for an interview to find out exactly what happened? And he goes on to say, well, we tried calling you. I said, you called a number I disconnected a long time ago. I told you guys for a while now, don't call me. Any questions you have, send through email or even send it through regular mail. They know my address. I even told them, you guys have had internal affairs come knocking at my door to ask me questions. Come send them that. At least I can. See, the key thing is I need to document these interactions. When they have questions for me, I'd prefer it via email because it's fully documented. When I'm on the phone with them, it can be documented, but what if he calls me and I'm caught off guard and I'm not able to record it at that moment? And of course, then I have to go ahead and supposedly give him some sort of notification that I am recording. It just makes things difficult. I would prefer an email or send it through regular mail or come knock at my door and we'll have a conversation and I'll record you. But I prefer email. I've told him this time and time again. And then he told me, well, we have 3 options we can do, and we can do any combination of them that we want, even though I've told them, don't fucking call me. They still insisted on calling. And they insisted on, I would tell them, I don't use that number that you have on file. I don't even use anymore. It's an old Google Voice number that I stopped using. And they still, I'm talking about until like 6 months ago, they would still say, oh, well, we tried contacting you. We tried contacting you. Do you know the date of this incident? I was referring to. I don't know what I have him on tape saying that he wasn't going to give it to me because I wasn't involved on that exact incident. I had posted that video on social media of him saying that I wasn't involved and that he wasn't going to give it to me as he drove off. Mind you, I remember this exact incident because I think Officer Dalen was working backup on it. And immediately I turned to Officer Dalen because I had a conversation with him 2 hours prior where I was saying that I was having issues getting these officers to provide their cards when I asked for it. And then here we were 2 hours later on a stop where he was working backup and that exact incident happened. So I get that the body worn video may have shown just card. My video that I have shows it quite clearly that we had a conversation back and forth and with him literally saying, no, you're not involved. Literally saying, no, I'm not going to give it to you. That's what he said. I'm not going to give it to you. So I don't understand why during the course of this investigation, going only off the body worn video, when all these interactions with myself are always recorded, why nobody reached out to me
to simply get the video. With that having been said, I know that I have, along with this specific complaint, when I filed it, I guarantee I filed it online through OIG, and it came with a video connected of the entire incident, I think repeated twice, where he's clearly heard saying that he wasn't going to give it to me, that I wasn't involved.
The investigation shows that the investigating officer attempted to contact you several times.
Interesting.
Telephonically. After I tell them, after I have told them a million times, don't fucking call me. If you have questions, send via email. And trust me, on certain cases, they do. When it's like a more sensitive case, and they know that they're like a press member is involved that filed the complaint, and I filed the complaint on their behalf, like, yeah, oh, yeah, we're going to get all the emails out to him, get all the shit that, you know, to cover our ass. But when it's a less high profile, which is this is just a cop refusing ID. This is about as small of a as misconduct as you're going to get. Although it pisses me off. I hate when they do this. But then they're like, yeah, we tried calling you. Well, did you leave a voicemail? No. What the fuck? Oh, you're calling from a number like a no caller ID, and you don't leave a voicemail. How the fuck am I supposed? You think I first off, I rarely answer my phone. You think I'm going to answer to a no caller ID, and if you leave no message, I'm supposed to just guess who the fuck it was? That's what these guys do. This is what I deal with Chow, and I've been dealing with this guy for years.
That's just not true. I know that Internal Affairs, when they want to get in contact with me, if they haven't heard from me, they send an official correspondence, a letter stating, hey, please contact this person. I never got anything from
That's
that.
every time. Except for Chow.
Additionally, with the video I actually provided to the LAPD, this officer is on tape specifically saying, no, he was not going to give me the card. I don't know what other information would have been needed. I don't know how we go from there. We dismiss the video that I provided and only go off of a body-worn camera.
They didn't have.
What did you say that last part again?
I don't understand why the video I provided wasn't sufficient. I mean, there's two questions. I provided video that clearly shows what this officer said that contradicts what this report is saying, for one. That's clear as day. And two, why didn't I get any sort of official letter from the LAPD, as they normally do, stating that an officer wants to interview me? I mean, I get, like I said, Internal Affairs, if they want to get in contact with me, they come to my house and they leave a card, and then they follow it up with a formal letter. Getting phone calls from an unknown number where nobody leaves a voicemail isn't sufficient. I'm sorry, I get way too many unknown phone calls a day. I'm not gonna. It's not that.
When we do an investigation, better an email or a phone message.
Use, but I'm not hearing should.
A letter, an email or a phone message.
I never received an email, and I never received a paper mail. Neither one. I mean, it's the easiest way to document an attempt at a contact are those two means. Never received either one, but at the same time.
It could be any combination.
Sure. Okay, fine. So they chose this combination. At the same time, they chose to throw out the video that I actually supplied to them, showing clear as day. I you know.
Nobody figured out.
It was okay. The actual video of the encounter was not considered during the course of the investigation, but at the same time, all that was used was a portion of the body-worn camera.
Bullshit.
This one is already closed out, William. So at this point, your recourse would be to request an audit of the investigation through the Inspector General's office.
So you see the bullshit I have to deal with? This is the bullshit I have to deal with. And they get away with it because nobody ever calls them out. Nobody's able to shine a light on it. So here's the deal, right? Back in, I think it was 2004, there was a consent decree which changed the way that the LAPD handles complaints. Back then, they were saying complaints were being there was a backlog in the complaints. They weren't being adjudicated in time. Sometimes they take more than 12 months. And so therefore, what they wanted to do is reform the process by streaming everything through a sergeant at the police station to take for the initial intake. And the sergeant would then be able to deem whether a complaint was frivolous or not, and can then just throw out the complaint right there on the spot. Just on the spot, just throw it out. And they said they needed to do that. That way they could streamline the process to speed it up, because they want to adjudicate complaints between 4 and 5 months. I actually play a video on that. This specific guy, Andrew Chow right here, actually explained that to me one time in a phone conversation. I'll play that. Maybe I'll play that tonight at some point. But they changed the way the process is done to speed up the process, to try to make sure you can adjudicate these complaints in 4 to 5 months. Problem is they changed the process, allowed the sergeant at the station to just throw out complaints just willy-nilly on their own. And then on top of it, the process didn't get faster. In fact, it even got slower. Sometimes it takes me 18 months or even close to 2 years to get the complaint adjudicated. And if it takes too long, if it takes over 12 months, then they can't do anything about it, because there's a statute of limitation of 12 months from the time the complaint was filed. So that's the bullshit I'm dealing with. I have to make some phone calls to Chow later on and get some explanation. So I just wanted, like I said, I wanted to test out this format, if it could be done vertically for TikTok. It's difficult kind of sharing the screen. It's easy it's easier horizontally. And that's what we'll end up doing tonight. But for now, that's going to be it for this one. I'll give you some follow-up on this specific case probably later on tonight. But tonight we're going to be talking about a few shitty cops, including one cop who I believe is a lieutenant now, who would tell his cops during his shift that he doesn't want to see any black people go west of Broadway. In other words, stay out of specific areas. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to look at the adjudication of that. We're also going to look at a cop who like picking up prostitutes during his shift, or picking up strippers, or prostitutes during his shift, and a couple of others. All right, so I'll be back, figure around somewhere around 9 o'clock. Take care. Shout out to the mods.